Sport. We've all done it, and some of us still do it. And with those who participate in the range of activities colloquially known as sport, there remains a common goal amongst almost all of them. To be the best. To not only beat your opponents in competition, but to completely eclipse them and soar above them in the blissful embrace of glory everlasting. And one such avenue to attain this coveted state is through grand competitions like the Olympics. The only issue is, well, the skill gap that comes with partaking in such events. But let's say, hypothetically, you could skip all of those pesky talent requirements and through a little technical loophole, compete shoulder to shoulder with the best of the best. Do you have what it takes to win? Well, one man definitely thought so. Michael David Edwards, better known as Eddie the Eagle. Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. Now, I'm sure that this message will be wasted on almost all of you, but I'm sure that there's at least 3 of you out there who have a woman in your lives and you need reminding that Valentine's Day is coming up. And if you don't want to be nagged at forever, then you need to placate her with a romantic gift. And what better way to keep that raging dragon asleep than with jewellery? Of course, only the finest craftsmanship will do, so what better place to look than Holzkern? Hailing from Austria, the home of great composers like Mozart and great painters like Gustav Klimt, Holzkern knows a thing or two about the finer things, so they make their watches and jewellery for both men and women in small batches to ensure that every piece is of the highest quality possible, and their uniqueness is guaranteed by Mother Nature herself, because every Holzkern product is wrought from FSC certified natural materials, which is great because I'm sure that all of your girlfriends all know how hard it is to find sustainable wood. And the results of Holzkern's labours speak for themselves, because just look at this watch. Look at it. It is beautiful. And it makes me look so sophisticated and distinguished that I'm sure I'll be absolutely irresistible to all of the ladies while wearing this bad boy out in the town with Cupid's arrow going brrr. But I know that most of you aren't such suave Casanovas like me and have left it to the last minute to get your loved ones a Valentine's Day gift. But don't worry, because Holzkern have got you covered with free express shipping worldwide, going from Vienna straight to your lover's heart in 2 to 5 business days. They'll even cover the customs fees. And orders placed until the 8th are guaranteed to be delivered before Valentine's Day. So there's still time to browse their selection and then awkwardly ask your loved one vague but weirdly pointed questions until you actually figure out what they like, because you usually zone out when they start talking. So go on, spread the love and maybe something else this Valentine's Day by going to holzkern.com/Count Dankula or click the link in the description box down below and use code Dankula15 to get 15% off and a free gift bag. It's this one. It's pretty. It's red for like hearts and love and stuff. And for those of you who take too long, Holzkern will bail you out of the doghouse because this offer is valid all the way until the 16th. We begin on the 5th of December 1963 in the humble town of Cheltenham, where we witness the birth of, you guessed it, Michael David Edwards. We know very little about his upbringing, but all I can say is that he grew up as the son of a plasterer, so it seemed as though his fate was set. However, what young Ed wanted was a shot at greatness. He wanted to be an athlete. So the question was, in what sport? Well, growing up, he seemed fucking dead set on hampering his chances due to being really passionate about being a goalie in football, diving with such force into the players trying to score past him that he ended up damaging the cartilage in one of his knees when he was just 10 years old, resulting in his options for athletic splendour being incredibly limited from the outset, and condemning him to 3 years in a cast, a virtual death sentence for any schoolchild's social life. However, God came in clutch for dear young Ed, as after being liberated from his medicinal confines at age 13, he was sent on one fateful school trip to Italy, which, alongside having yummy cheese, nice vistas, and pretty fucking nice women, it also seemed to have his salvation. Skiing. I know, I didn't really see that one coming either. Also, if my voice actually sounds all cracked and terrible, it's because I was out last night. Taking a rather radical liking to the sport, Ed proceeded to dive headfirst into skiing, and he signed on for a season at the Glenshee Ski Centre in Aberdeen, where it seemed like he enjoyed it so much that he essentially found his own wee promised land, the Cairngorms, exploring and taking in the untouched beauty of the Highlands before getting fucked up in the pub and then flying down a mountain in a semi-squat position. Also, the Cairngorms are actually fucking beautiful. You should all go there. There was, however, one slight issue with this. Money. It turns out that spending a full season doing nothing but skiing actually eats into your funds quite a bit. So, rather than going back down south to be a plasterer full-time with his dad, Eddie decided that instead of being a middling downhill skier, he would instead transition to the graceful art of ski jumping. This resulted in Eddie becoming the best ski jumper in Britain, because there were no other ski jumpers in Britain. A high IQ will get you far in life, but actually being good at what you set out to do will get you even further. I'm not saying that Eddie was a bad skier. In fact, considering his genuine passion for the sport paired with the volunteering at the resort itself meant that he definitely was quite skilled at downhill skiing. But whether or not he was skilled at ski jumping is another question entirely. Or whether or not he was skilled in ski jumping at an Olympic level. But back on topic. Somehow, Eddie found himself on the other side of the world in Lake Placid, New York, where he went under the tutelage of 3 separate gentlemen: John Vicombe, Jay Rand, and Chuck Berghorn. We frankly know next to nothing about the former two, other than that John supposedly took the Gunnery Sergeant Hartman approach to training. But according to Chuck, Ed just showed up to Lake Placid one day with no kit and absolutely no idea what he was doing. And he literally begged Chuck to teach him how to ski jump. Chuck eventually acquiesced on account of Ed's personality, which can only be described as a wholesome shonen, though he was under no illusions. He knew for a fact that Ed would never get anywhere in the Olympics, assuming he could even get in at all. Despite that, the objective for Ed's new motley crew was quite simple: the 1987 FIS Nordic World Ski Championship in Bavaria. If Eddie manages to survive that, then he's got a shot at the Olympics. Just as a little aside, Chuck was incredibly impressed by the contrast of Eddie, particularly the fact that despite being a big, pudgy gingerbread man with atrocious refinement of technique, he showed himself to be driven, tenacious, and somehow remarkably dexterous considering his weight, for which he would be on the heftier side of the pro skiing scene. But anyway, let's see if this piggy can fly. But his luscious curves were not the only problem that he would have to grapple with, as of course you have the financial issues. being that Eddie is self-funded and he is going up against literal countries. Also, the fact that he was using Chuck's old equipment that didn't fit him properly, he actually had to wear 6 pairs of socks just to make the boots fit, and also the fact that a major part of Eddie's aesthetic is his really fucked up nerd glasses that he absolutely has to wear, because he is extremely far-sighted. Which means that he has to wear his glasses underneath his goggles. And when they inevitably fog up because of the cold, well, that can cause some big fucking issues, especially if you're supposed to be flying through the fucking air. Regardless, come the FIS ski jump in Bavaria, Eddie was finally ready. That entire training arc had been for this exact moment. He was locked in. He saw the golden path laid out before him like he was a lost girl from Kansas. So, how did he do? Well, he did that good that he was ranked the 55th best ski jumper in the competition. Fucking 55th. But it turns out that that was all he needed to get his foot in the door. Because whilst he was working as a plasterer and hustling by living in a Finnish mental hospital, Eddie got the news that he qualified for the Winter Olympics. And no, you did not mishear me, he was literally living in a Finnish nut house, because apparently the rent was cheaper. Also, why the fuck is he in Finland? Well, it's because apparently he was invited to train with their team. Maybe the Finns found him a curious specimen and they wanted to study him. However, that is mere conjecture, because as we all know, the Finns are mushroom people. From there, Eddie popped back over to Blighty, picked up his Team GB uniform, had a cuppa, and then boarded a flight to the United States for yet more training. He was taking this very seriously now. After all, he's Britain's top guy. By the time the Winter Olympics came around in Calgary, Eddie was in his prime, sharpened to a razor's edge by like 2 whole months of training or some shit. He walked into that great big gaggle of phonies, yuppies and fuds with swagger undaunted. To quote the famous poet-turned-athlete Jonathan Cena, "Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise boy, I'm shining now. You can't see me, my time is now." So, knowing that this is his big moment, how did Eddie do? Well, he was competing in the 70-metre and 90-metre ski jumps. And let me just say, he fucking flew. It was utterly majestic. Like Icarus, he soared, and when he touched down at 61 metres, it was imagery that simultaneously evoked the creation of Adam and the death of Sanguinius. Like the North Star fading out before the majesty of the mighty sun. Utterly sublime. Yeah, Eddie came in dead last in both competitions. he came in dead last in both competitions, getting absolutely BTFO'd by the guy who came second last, Bernat Solapujol, who came in a whole 10 metres ahead of him. Not even getting into the stats of the true champion that day, Matti Enzio Nikanyan, a Finn who fucking flew through the heavens, hitting 118 metres, leaving our majestic Eddie in the sunset. However, while Ed might not have won a single Olympic medal, what he did win was hearts. Because when the British people saw this fucking guy with his goofy look, the bright pink goggles and those fucking dark glasses, fumbling through the air like an alcoholic trying to get his key in the door after a heavy night on the sesh, they all instantly fell in love with him. And to top it all off, Eddie was just really fucking wholesome. The British people immediately threw all of their support behind Eddie, and he basically became a massive meme. Okay, he might have only qualified because he was literally the only ski jumper in all of Britain at the time, and he might be absolutely shite, but god damn it, he's one of us. And even the media, the scum that they are, couldn't help but make shit up about our guy, claiming that he was afraid of heights and other such inane malarkey. Though they eventually read the fucking room and started to fawn over his earnestness. Naming him fucking Mr. Magoo because of course they did, they're fucking boomers. Point being, it became a massive running joke that even Eddie was in on. The cheering for him wasn't even sarcastic. Everyone knew he was terrible. Eddie knew that he was terrible. But god damn it, he went in there and he tried his damn hardest anyway. And that made people respect him. Due to the International Olympic Committee being massive fucking killjoys, they suddenly made the entry requirements to qualify for the Olympics substantially higher, so as to avoid future Eddies showing up and making the Olympics actually interesting to watch past the opening ceremony. Spoiler alert, they still failed. Eric the Eel and fucking Ray Gunn send their regards. So, what happened to Eddie after Calgary? Well, he went back to Blighty and just got on with his life, doing normal Englishman things like writing a book, doing charity events, and releasing a Finnish pop song that made it to number 2 in the charts in the country. Yeah, he couldn't even actually speak a word of fucking Finnish when he was recording Mun Nimeni on Itu, so he just said all of the words phonetically. And yeah, it was a banger. And speaking of Finns, Matti Nykänen, the gold medalist, actually befriended Eddie after the event. Probably helped by the fact that Eddie had trained with the Finnish team before Calgary. So they maybe already partly knew each other. Sadly, however, it seems that the Fun Finn funds fell through, as in 1992, Eddie the Eagle filed for bankruptcy, because people he trusted to set up a trust fund were shite at their jobs. Ironic. Either way, this led to him attending and then graduating De Montfort University in law, because, quote, I've been interested in law since taking out a civil action against my trustees. Yeah, you tell him, champ. And alongside all of that, he was still trying to get into the next Olympics. And he kept failing every single time because they just would not let him back in. He even got a sponsorship from an aviation company called Eagle Airlines, and they still wouldn't let him in. The British people were furious about that. Yeah, but he's just gonna lose. We know, we don't care, let him compete, oi oi! But do you want to know the funniest part about Eddie the Eagle's run in Calgary? He fucking got the British record for ski jump. Purely because it had never been done before. So just by default, he got the record. And to this day, he is still the 6th best British ski jumper. He's still, over 30 years later, the 6th best, because ski jumping still isn't really that popular here. And in recent years, it seems that people are starting to look back at Eddie and rekindle the love that they had in their hearts for him. With him getting the opportunity to carry the Olympic torch for the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, alongside making multiple appearances on the BBC, Channel 4 and other such British boomer media. He did end up returning to Calgary in 2017 to the exact same slope that he flew from all of those years ago, to repeat the feat of 70 metres and to show the world that he is still alive and still able to sort of fly. So where does that leave us? Well, to be honest, Eddie isn't dead yet. So there's a good chance that he will still do some more noteworthy things. He's probably going to make an appearance for the 2026 Winter Olympics, assuming that we don't all die in a nuclear holocaust before then. Also, yeah, I know about the movie. It was really good, but it's honestly just not accurate at all. And Eddie has even said this himself. The lesson to take away from this is this. Nationalism is so strong that even when the guy representing your nation is absolutely dogshit, his countrymen will still cheer for him. And also demand that he be allowed into future competitions, even if they know he is just going to embarrass them. Because at the end of the day, it's the laughs that matter most. Another lesson is, if you want to be the best in your country at something, find something that no one else in your country is doing.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody just subscribe.